Okay, everybody, exciting times. Right, we move into one of the pivotal battles of this entire campaign. This is where we're going to find out whether or not the Barbarians are going to be able to take the lead or whether they are not. Taking a look at this Roman army, despite the fact that the Romans have completely underperformed this entire campaign, this could be their breakout moment. So as we go into this, what we have is Crassus, who is our 4-star general, which means that they're going to get 4 Tactica cards. Let's have a quick look at them and see if any of these are going to be relevant. So after all cards are deployed, swap the position of any 2 cards on your side. Okay, could be useful. Take the hill, play after losing a roll to control the hill, could be useful. Seize initiative, choose a file instead of your opponent when it's their choice, could be useful again. And then another seize initiative. So I think maybe I need to shuffle these cards a little bit better for some of these, but all of these could be useful. They could be useful, so we'll just need to see what the precise circumstances are when we get into it. Now for the Barbarians, they have got a mediocre general, which really could count against them really bad here. So let's see how this goes down. So fight to the death. Army fights on when reduced to a single main battle card. I'm actually quite worried that that is precisely what's going to happen here. But before we get to that point, I'm not sure if it's going to come down to individual battle cards, but let's see how it goes. Then tough it out. Cancel all enemy dice rolled against this file in one combat subphase after the dice are rolled. Whoa, that's huge. That's a huge card. Okay, well that's definitely going to be useful at some point, so we'll see how we get on. Going into this, there is no opportunity for a waterway, and so instead what we have is we've got 2 mountainous terrain tiles and 2 forest tiles. So let's have a look and see what these look like. So we've got a 7 and we've got a 5. So it's going to be a lot of terrain in this one. And then we've got a 3 and a 5. And I'm not sure what you do when you've actually got 2 that are like this. So I interpret it that you just you're pulling, it's randomized. So if you've got this, then it's basically just like a tree on top of that terrain, and therefore it doesn't really make a difference. But it could be actually what's happening here as we're fighting for the terrain, that one area could go one way, one could go the other. So we'll see how that kind of works out. So now what we have to do is we have to do the fight for the terrain. So that's going to be our mediocre general from the Barbarians, rolling with a white die, and Crassus from the Romans, rolling with a yellow die. So let's just roll these dice simultaneously and see what the results are. Let's go for this piece of terrain over here, our forest. There, so it's 2 blank dice, so that's not going to make any difference just now. So let's go for the forest on top here, and yeah, the Romans absolutely knock it out of the park with a skull versus a cross. So what are they going to choose to do? Do we want to take the forest towards us, or do we want to send it away? I think we definitely. I'm a bit worried because the Romans wouldn't necessarily know what is going to be in their army. So it's then looking at what they've actually got here, and we do have some auxiliaries, but we've already got this piece of terrain here. I guess it might be advantageous to have the enemy fighting us in terrain. So I think what we'll do is we'll pull that towards us. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll be fighting for the this ground over here in file number 5. And it's even Stevens, so that means it's going to sit in the middle. And finally, we've got the rough terrain in file number 7, and the cross beats the S effect, which means that once again the Romans get to choose what's going to happen here, and again they're going to pull that terrain towards them. So after that's happened, so one here, after losing a roll to control a hill, we don't have any hills, you can control it, so that's going away. So next it's going to be about actually just setting up the armies. So let's go ahead, and who's attacking here? So it's the Romans that are attacking, so why don't we actually have them set up first? So we've got quite a few units. I think what we're going to do is we're going to deploy all of the units apart from the general. I don't think so. Morale booster would be really useful. We'll see how we get on in terms of our setup, we might want to put him on a flank, perhaps. That might be a good way of doing it. So I think what we'll do is right in the center of the army, we'll put our legendary, not our legendary, our veteran Imperial legionaries. The veteran Imperial auxiliaries, I think it would be great to have them over here. Do we want to have them here? Yeah, let's put them there. Let's put some Imperial legionaries over here. Some of these in here. And some more Imperial legionaries over here. Where do we want our cavalry? If we're going to be flanked on one side, I think we want the cavalry to be over here. Okay, so where are we going to start to put some of our units? So we've got some bows. They're going to attack first. Where do we want them? I think we want them protecting our veterans. Be good to have Scorpios. Now we've got to watch out here because Scorpios are not great in the terrain. So maybe have them protecting this flank. Yeah, that'll work quite well. And where could we have these Scorpios? I wonder if they have them over here. And the Velites, which are actually better in terrain, perfect. Yeah, perfect that we put them over here. So that works out really, really well. Now, do we want to actually put Crassus out himself? If we did, I think we'd put him over here with the cavalry. Because we need him if we want to be able to remove a wound. If we put him into the center, though, it's very unlikely that there's going to be a supporting attack. Which means that we could put him out and be removing a wound. I think that's what we do. And in particular when we've got a good advantage. So I think that when we put him here, so there's lots of protection, lots and lots of protection there. Okay, yeah, I like that. So we are actually going to put Crassus out, so that's really interesting that I've chosen to do that. But let's keep in mind we're going to seize the initiative, so choose a file, set your opponent when it's their choice. So we won't use that during setups. Skill deployment. After all cards are deployed, swap the position of any 2 cards on your side. So that's going to be really, really useful because our enemy are going to have to show more cards because he's got 4 stars, the enemy's got 2 stars, which means 2 of these are going to be showing. Anyway, let's move on to the Barbarians and let's see what we want to do here. So I think the Dacian Phalanxmen, in particular because of how this is going to look, they're actually better attacking into terrain. So let's go ahead and place them here. Naked Gestati, they would be good over here, but are they better off? Are they going to be better off? Are they going to be better off in the middle? And our Naked Gestati are going to be sitting over here. Lowland Warriors, then, we would want them to protect a flank. But I don't want them to be caught out. If we're going to have to fight on a flank, I think what we'll do is we'll do it over here. Yeah. Then we got... So actually, not a lot of coverage, but instead what we've got here... Oh man, this is hard. So I think we've got to get our general out. We've got to get him out. Who's he going to go with? Who do we need him to be going with right now? Especially if the enemy's got more... So they can't do any envelopments. So that's a good thing. But there could be supporting actions. So we want there to be pretty much guaranteed a victory. But we don't want to inadvertently lose them either. So I think put them here. Naked Gestati, that just adds an extra card there. Now the pony riders are good at taking out skirmishers. So I'd have to guess where on earth the Romans might put their skirmishers. And the Scythian horse archers, they're really useful. And so pardon me, I've just looked at this and I've just seen that they don't actually count as skirmishers, which is great. So we can place them out on the flanks. Excellent. I hadn't realised that. It's really good. So our pony riders, where are we going to put our pony riders? So definitely don't want to lose these guys. So even though they're going to be at a disadvantage, it's not a good idea though, is it? No, there's no point in putting them somewhere where they're going to be disadvantaged. So let's put them out in good going. Yeah, so that's what it's going to look like there. So after we've done that, what we then do is we're going to flip over all the cards, and you'll be able to see exactly what is going to be left, because the Romans will be in a position where they will get to choose 2 files where they can look at the cards. So as we just flip all of these over, and the reason for that is because the general has got, Crassus has got 2 stars more than the barbarians do. So as we set up like this, they're going to get a chance to take a look. And what ones do we want to look at? And I think in particular, there's a lot of mercenaries out there, which is interesting. I hadn't really noticed that. But I think we want to see what's going on here in the terrain in particular. So that's what we've got going on here. And the other thing that we might want to look at is what's going on in the center. I think I'm more curious about what's maybe happening in the center. So we've got our Sudori and our Pony Riders. And this is where they have the chance where after all cards are deployed, swap the position of any 2 cards on your side. So, and I've got one of these. So are there any that I'd want to shift after knowing that information? So I can see they're disadvantaged in the terrain. So let's look at what the Romans have got here. So we've got our Velites putting us in a great position, good chance of killing this general. And actually these guys are better than the Gestati. So I'm actually really happy with them sitting there. Which is the position of only 2 cards. So I can see they've got their Pony Riders, which makes me a little bit nervous if I've got my general in here. But I'm also very happy that the Sudori are here, because we have a chance that we can actually take them out. A really good chance of taking them out. But there's a good chance that they take us out as well. Because they're in good going, he's got a red die. That means the odds of killing us are really high. S effect would work here as well. I think Crassus is actually going to... Is he going to step out of this? I can only move 2 cards. So what's happening over here on this flank? Imperial Legionaries. I'm just a bit worried about Crassus. Yes, I'm a bit worried. I'm not worried about being able to beat them, it's just about getting beaten by them. That's what I'm worried about. I'm also worried about those Gestati as well. I think we're going to swap Crassus out. We're going to put him over here. Which way though? Yeah, put him over here. I'm going to put him over here. Yeah, I think so. So that they're into terrain, and I think that's going to give us... Is that going to give us an advantage? I prefer the odds. I much prefer the odds. Yeah. Okay. Let's put him into there. Okay. So we've used our skill deployment to be able to shift him there. So let's see if it's actually going to have a positive effect on the gameplay. I'm not precisely sure that it will. But yeah, let's now reveal and see what that looks like. So here we go for the Barbarians. All of that gets flipped out over here. And really nice armies here. Scorpios out on the flank. That's really interesting. We put our Scorpios on the flank. I hadn't really thought too much about that actually. Something I really probably should have thought a little bit more. We got our really great units in the center there. The Velites, some of the last of the Republican Roman Velites still here. Okay, and we are about ready to get started with the battle. So the first thing that goes off is the artillery, so that we've got our 2 Scorpios here. So I think let's go ahead and start over here, and it's a white die in good going. S effect will not be effective against these horse archers, so it's got to be just our straightforward In this case, it's not got the kill button here, but a chance to wound. So let's see what happens. And it is a wound. There you go. Right. Scythian Horse Archers wondering if they've made the right choice. Okay. Over here, we've got the Scorpio once again in good going, and it's going to be against these Pony Riders. Let's see if it has any effect. S effect will not do anything here. And it's also another wound. Okay. So putting out some effective wounds there, but that's the end of their go. Then what we do is move on to the bows, of which we do have bows here. So the Imperial Auxiliary Archers are going to get a chance to fire against these Pony Riders before they get into range. So in good going, they're attacking with a green die. And in this time, the S effect, I can see is not going to have any effect here. So let's see how they get on. It's blank. Yikes! The Imperial Auxiliary Archers were completely ineffective at being able to take out any of these Pony Riders. So maybe they've had a bit of hubris and they've gone ahead and fired maybe a little bit too early or something, and just failed to take out those ponies. That's really interesting there. Right, so that's been the bows. There's no bows on the other side. So what that means now is that we're moving on to the skirmishers. So Romans in the attacking position are going to, I think, attack with their velites into here. So attacking actually into terrain, which means it's 2 white dice, and S effect is not going to do anything here. We have to keep in mind that the general is in this rank as well. So, oh man, this is bad. If the velites manage to take out the naked Gestati, then that means that general is going to go too. Okay, this could be really bad actually. But it's 2 blanks, so velites. Okay, everybody's just missing at the moment. That's not, it's not been great ever since the Scorpios have had their go. Right, so on the opposite side then, we have the response coming from the Barbarians. Let's start with these Pony Riders in the center. So in good going, they've got a white die. They're up against... these are bows, not skirmishers, which is interesting, which means the S effect is not going to do anything. But after a miss from these Imperial Auxiliary Archers, let's see how we get on. It's an S, and that does nothing. So unfortunately, Pony Riders, they come and they take a shot, but not doing any meaningful damage to the Archers. We then have the Pony Riders over here. They'll be attacking the Scorpion. The S effect is actually not going to do anything, but it's a white die and good going. Let's see how they get on. It's blank. Yikes. Right, so these skirmishers have been absolutely rubbish, like really, really ineffective in this case. So now what we'll do is we're going to move on to the main combat round. So if we put our Scorpios back behind here, if these battle cards get taken out, then the Scorpios themselves, by the way, actually also get destroyed because they're considered to be kind of fixed. The skirmishers, though, are going to, and the bows are going to come off of the table. They have done their job. And the same over here from these Pony Riders. Thank you, lads. You have done your job so far. But now what we're going to do is we are going to move into the phase where it goes into the charge phase now. And I'm just checking the cards again. Cancel all enemy dice rolled. No, I'm not too worried about that, but we might be doing some after the charging. Seizing the initiative it's maybe not going to be that useful right now, just because we've got even numbers in each of the files. It's maybe more useful when there's opportunities to do supporting actions, but we'll see how we get on, see if that's going to be useful at all. So Romans are going to have their first go. Really scared those Phalanxmen there. Really, really scared. Don't like that at all. Don't like it at all. Not really feeling that either. That's our veterans. Yeah, we kind of ran away from them, didn't we? I think their best odds is going to come in here. So our veteran Imperial Auxiliaries up against the naked Gestati in terrain. So they're running at each other into this forest, and then what's going to happen will not be known. So they're going to be attacking with a yellow and a white die in terrain, and the S effect in this case is actually going to be effective. So let's see how we get on. Oh, and it's a kill. That means the Barbarians are losing their general. Oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, we need to see whether or not it is going to be in vain. So that's really fascinating. So let's just see how we get on here. So attacking into terrain means we've got a green and we've got a white dice. S effect is going to be effective. We're going to do this, and then what we're going to do, actually, we add the general's die into this roll as well. So S effect is going to do something. I'm feeling good about this. Let's see how we get on. Ah, one of the dice did not go over. However, we've already managed to achieve a sufficient. Oh, look at that! Absolutely hammers. The S effect makes it's a hit, which is we would add 4 wounds into here, but 2 is going to be perfectly sufficient to take these guys out. So. What's happened? They've ran into this forest here. General's gone in after them as well, and in the fray and the confusion, really decent units there, including the general, have relinquished to the veteran Imperial auxiliaries. Clearly their experience has been enough to take them out, but at the same time suffering such heavy casualties that they're not going to come back from this either. So that is the first combat there, which is really interesting. And just as that has occurred, what I've actually decided to do just before we moved on from that is, seeing this tough it out, cancel all enemy dice rolled against this file in one combat phase after the dice are rolled. So form up, take cover from arrows, repel all attacks, hold your ground. And actually, as we've managed to go and do that in the fray and the confusion, it actually turned out that all of those dice rolls have been cancelled, so taking them right out of there. And actually, it turned out that they got away with it, and actually the auxiliaries are the ones who are going to be retreating in vain, and everyone has managed to survive in that roll there. But that means that that card has also been used up, so hopefully it's not going to be more disastrous elsewhere. So the Romans have gone ahead and they've attacked into what is possibly their strongest position. So now we just need to see how we get on beyond that. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to have the Dacian Phalanxmen are going to attack down here. So attacking into terrain, which means they're attacking with a red die. And in particular, the S effect here is going to be effective. Let's see how they get on. It's an S, right? And so it's a kill. It's a kill. Oh my gosh. The general. Crassus. The Dacian Phalanxmen, they've done it. They've managed to kill Crassus along with this Imperial Legionaries. That's insane. Absolutely insane. No way. So these Phalanxmen absolutely earning their salt right now. That is unbelievable. On an S effect as well. So a really special win there. So Crassus throwing himself into the fray and getting absolutely pulverized. One thing that I do need to point out here, though, is that with the morale booster, they're able to remove 1 wound from 1 combat, and I think it's going to be from this one. So good thing we didn't try and save it for this one here to try and save face. Crassus is actually going to live for another day, my friends. Okay, but let's see exactly what it is, what damage that they can do going back. So what's happening here is that they are going to be attacking, in this case, into terrain because of the central bit here, which means that it's going to be a green die. The S effect is going to be effective. Sorry, that's only in good going. S effect's not going to do anything. But we're also going to be adding a yellow die for Crassus in here. So the Imperial Legionaries backed by Crassus. Let's see how they get on against the Phalanxmen. S does nothing, but the green kill takes those guys out. So that's pretty wild. Absolutely wild there. So what an interesting battle it is turning out to be so far. Okay, so this has given the Barbarians an opportunity to counter-attack, and I think we're feeling good about these Siduri in good going here. That is a red die, and S effect is going to count, so let's see how we get on. Boom! And it's a kill. So these veteran Imperial Legionaries are killed, but are they going to take the Siduri with them? Let's find out. So in good going, that is a yellow and a green die, should be pretty sufficient. And in good going, yep, that the S effect is going to count. So let's see how we get on. Wow, 2 wounds, there you go. So these guys have absolutely annihilated in the center. So that is going to make for some pretty pretty awesome battles going on here. It's going to get really, really chaotic in a moment here. I'm very glad that we're hanging on to our Seize Initiative cards because I think that they might count more than ever after this. So let's now move on to the next one, and the Barbarians. Where are they going to choose to fight next? Let's fight... Let's fight over here in this file. So this is going to be interesting. So in good going, they're attacking with 2 white dice. But what's really interesting is that in good going, which we're in, their S effect is that any units with the kind of shields, so in formations, their attacks will not count, which is really, really interesting. So essentially these guys can run rings around them. So if you get an S effect, their roll is going to be count for nothing. So I'm actually hoping for the S effect. I think that's going to be really great. But let's see how we get on. Oh, okay, right. So it's a blank and an S effect, which basically means that their roll is going to count for nothing. But let's see what their roll actually ends up being. So no casualties, but at the same time, they've neutralized their roll. But let's see what it looked like anyway. So in good going, it'd be yellow and white. And in this case, the S effect wouldn't do anything. So it would have ended up with a kill, but because the S effect is cancelled out, nothing happens there. So they're living to fight for another day. Moving over here, I think now the Romans are going to attack into this file here. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable about how this is going to go. So for the Barbarians anyway, so the Imperial Legionaries attacking with a yellow and white die in good going. S effect is going to count here. Let's see if it makes a difference. Oh, 2 blanks. So these Lowland Warriors, I don't know what's happened here. I do not know what that means thematically. But perhaps the Imperial Legionaries, perhaps a little bit of their hubris, you know, the Scorpios had a shot that's got the Lowland Warriors a bit afraid, but it's not broken them. And these Imperial Legionaries have broken ranks and were unable to defeat the Lowland Warriors. But let's see if the Lowland Warriors are going to get a good response against them. So in good going, it's a white die, but S effect kills any foot units, which the Imperial Legionaries are. So let's see how this goes. Oh, and it's blank. So for all of that undulation doesn't count for anything in the end. Okay, so then we got our final rank over here. So it's going to be our Scythian Horse Archers are going to go. So in good going, that's 2 white dice. And in this case, the S effect will not do anything against cavalry. So, yep, so an S and a blank, it's not going to count for anything. Scythian Horse Archers now looking pretty vulnerable out here, as we've got our Imperial Legionary Cavalry coming with a response. So 2 white die in good going. Whilst at the same time the S effect I can see is not going to count here because it counts against skirmish cavalry, of which the mercenary Scythian Horse Archers don't count as. So let's see how they get on here. S effect is not going to do anything. And it's a wound. Okay, so it's a wound. Interesting combat that's happened there. So that has been the initial charge phase. And let's see how everybody has gotten on there. Right, so what we can see is that this center has totally collapsed for the Barbarians. And now they've got 2 dead units right in the center. Whilst at the meantime, the Romans have actually lost their veteran Imperial Legionaries there. A card that you might actually expect to fight on to the end. Whilst at the same time, they've also lost the auxiliaries that were standing next to them. So their most veteran and perhaps even most effective units are the ones that have actually been taken out initially. So this is leaving a very lopsided board here. Not really sure what to do. So we've got the Roman army, which is split. Really don't like that. Really don't want to have them split. We need to get them together. So I think essentially what we're going to do, but we don't want to be fighting in the terrain either. But we can see what the enemy looks like, and they're disadvantaged in terrain too. But less so. They're going to be outflanked and outnumbered if we stay here. So we shouldn't stay there. Whereas they'll have the opportunity to outflank them here. But this will be much uglier if we don't get on top of it. So I think we've got to move over. We've got to move over. So I think we're going to move these guys over here. And then the Imperial Legionaries, yep. So that's going to give an opportunity for the Barbarians to decide what they're going to do. Seeing what the Romans are doing, they're trying to consolidate. I don't think we're going to move everything this turn. Okay. So then the Romans, what they're doing next, moving them over here. Then we have to make a decision about what we're going to do next. Do we want to attack in terrain? We'll be disadvantaged. So it's probably not a great idea. So at this stage, oh, don't like this because I don't want them to be potentially encircled. But I don't want them to have the advantage against us either. Man, this is hard. I want them to be disadvantaged. Attacking into terrain. I think the disadvantage counts more. Yes, I think that this, even if they're going to get support, I think the disadvantage counts more. Yeah. Which actually makes me think that going for the envelopment is more important. So we're going to attack down here. It doesn't actually say what to do when you go for an envelopment and you've got the artillery in the way. I'm going to interpret that that means the artillery gets killed. And at this stage, one thing that I didn't bring over to this battle, guys, are the action cards, which, by the way, the Barbarians have an epic encirclement card, and I think an epic encirclement is about to take place here, and I think we're essentially going to see exactly how this is going to play out to decide which side we're going to encircle with. So a very expensive card that we've held on to, and going to make it absolutely worthwhile here. So I've just moved those two cards, so that was unfair. Did I move them? No, I didn't. I chose not to move them. I moved him instead. Right, so then the Romans could do... So they can't get in and encircle here without getting also encircled again. So that can't move. They can't really move. Do we move these guys with the potential that we would just leave the Scorpios to their fate? They're really good and good going. The answer is no, we wouldn't move them, which then gives the opportunity for Barbarians to make one more move, which we're going to move them here, which means you can't have a supporting action if you don't have a card in front of you, which basically means they're useless, they're also useless, but we're moving. They can support here, but we've got the opportunity for an encirclement there. So yeah, that's going to make this really, really epic. So the Romans are attacking, so they're going to go first. Where do they want to attack first? So that's not a thing. Maybe if they attack with these Roman Imperial Legionary Cavalry, to try and bait these lowland warriors into enveloping on this side rather than on this side. Let's see if they take the bait. So the decision has to be made by the Barbarians now if they're going to do an envelopment and if it's going to be this way or that way. Because I'm really worried that they're going to win here, and that's going to leave us really vulnerable. Really vulnerable. Whereas if we don't beat them here, but if we take out this cavalry, there's a chance that we can attack this way again. So actually that's pretty good. So yes, we're going to commit them. We're going to commit the lone warriors to this battle here, right? So Imperial Roman legionaries are going to attack against the Scythian horse archers in good going. S effect's not going to do anything. So it's another wound. Okay, so there we go, right? So they've actually taken these guys out. But we've also got here that the Scythian horse archers are attacking in good going. S effect won't be effective. They do manage to get a wound. Okay, is that going to be enough now for the lowland warriors contributing their white dice, attacking into good going? S effect's not going to do anything. Is this going to be enough to take them out? Let's find out. Oh, this is the point where we can say, do we want to use our epic envelopment card? And I think the risk is too high. Let's use it. Let's use this card right now. So it means what we can do is we can add an extra green die into our envelopment here. So perfect. We're spending this card. Let's see if it is worth it. Yes! Woo! Right, so the white die came up blank, which means they would have been they would have killed them, and they would have been able to run around free. But adding the green die meant that we've added in an extra wound, taking those guys out, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because Crassus as well, he's already used his morale booster effect, so can't go ahead and use that, so we ain't missing out. So that I think that might just be something that shifts the tide of this battle here. That was so significant. So a battle which is deciding the fate of the campaign, and that interaction I think might have decided the fate of this battle. So let's see how we get on overall, right? So these two, they're spent there. Okay, so now it goes to the barbarians, but this is where the Romans actually have an opportunity to go ahead and to seize the initiative. So we'll choose a file instead of our opponents, of which actually well, we can only fight in a single file anyway, so actually that's not going to make a difference. We won't do that. So Imperial Roman legionaries attacking into terrain, which is a green die. S effect will not be effective because it's only good out with. We're also going to get a supporting action coming in here, which means that attacking into terrain, the green die turns into a white die. S effect will not have an effect, but we are adding in Crassus's attack as well, so it's a yellow die which turns into a green. So I'm fancying their odds. Let's see how they get on here. And we have to keep in mind that the barbarian general is under there as well, so this is getting a little bit scary. Boom, boom, boom. So 3 wounds, which means that is going to be the death of these naked gestati, and the general has been taken out in this. However, how are they going to be able to make it count? So attacking into terrain, we have a green and a white dice. S effect will be effective, and we're adding on the white die from the general. So let's see how we get on. 2 S effect. Boom, they've killed them. This battle is absolutely epic. Like, everybody is just dying all over the place right now. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Now, guys, one thing to keep in mind, because what you saw with the barbarians there, that when we had lost those main battle cards, we're now down to pardon me, we've actually got 2 main battle cards, so we're okay, but just keep in mind we've got a fight to the death tactical card here, so that might actually be coming in handy sooner than we might have thought. And then so they've contributed here and they can't do anything, so that's the end of that round. Okay, so let's now remove the dead. Unfortunately, there goes the barbarians general at the same time, so really heavy losses in this battle. Whilst at the same time these imperial legionaries have now also perished, as well as the legionary cavalry. And pardon me, so these Scythian horse archers, right? So very costly battle so far. Wow, okay, so now we have to decide how we're going to deal with this. So the Romans get to choose first. So if they moved into here, what that would mean is that the barbarians would then have to attack into terrain, which doesn't really make a difference. But the legionaries wouldn't have to attack into terrain because they're over here. So I think definitely want to move them to there. Yes. And at this stage, I'd want to move Crassus out. Yep, he's going to be a coward. He's not taking part in this. He's coming out. Barbarians have an opportunity. Do we want to move over here? And the answer is it's probably better to fight the Romans in terrain. Just because it limits their ability the most. Statistically, it's just better to do that. So they're not going to move. So then the Romans are going to have to decide what they're going to do. Are they going to take the challenge in the terrain? And I think the answer is yes. Yes, they will. Okay, they're going to take the challenge in the terrain. So then it comes down to the Scorpio's not going to contribute here. Right, so the Romans are now going to attack, and they're going to attack here. So we're just going to treat this like a normal battle. But in this case, the Romans are attacking into good going. This is my interpretation of the rules. I'm not sure if it's right. And S effect is going to be effective here. So let's see what happens. It's a wound, but it is not the death of that card. Yikes. Okay. For the Lowland Warriors, it is then going to be attacking into terrain, which is a white die, but it means that S effect doesn't do anything. So let's see how they get on. Oh, and it's blank. Right, there you go. Okay, the Legionaries survive for another day. Meanwhile, over here, what we've got is we've got our Scythian Horse Archers attacking into terrain, which is a white die. Let's see how they get on there. It's a wound. Oh, okay, that might not be enough. Okay, and then we've got the Imperial Legionaries. They're attacking into terrain. Are they into terrain? Yes, because that terrain's there. They're attacking into terrain with a green die. S effect's not going to take effect here. It's green. Dead. Scythian Horse Archers. Right. Wow. This is an insane fight. Absolutely insane. So at the end of that, Scythian Horse Archers are taken away. We're now using our fight to the death card here. Let's see. So we can fight on even though we've got a single main battle card, but let's see what effect that's going to have overall. Is it going to make much of a difference? These legionaries are now going to move over here, but outside of the combat. So in the meantime, Romans are going to go first. So they are attacking here, and these Lowland Wars are really heavily disadvantaged. So not feeling good for them right now. But let's carry on. So attacking in good going, which is a yellow and a white die. S effect will be effective here, and that's going to be sufficient, right? So these Lowland Warriors are killed, but are they taking the Roman Imperial Legionaries with them? So it's a white die into terrain where the S effect will not be effective. Boom! They got them. So they took them out at the same time. Wow. Wow, insane. So what's happened then is that entire barbarian army has been destroyed and taking a huge chunk of the Roman army with them. So let's go ahead and take a look at actually what managed to survive. And in this case, my goodness, the Romans were actually reduced to a single main battle card. So if they had, wow, if they lost that card there, they would have also been destroyed. So that battle could have gone really, really differently. But then look at all the units that they've lost there as well. So I'll place those ones down here so you can see what they've lost. But this is where we have an opportunity that we can actually upgrade, and so at this stage I believe that the only ones that we can actually upgrade, because we can't upgrade Scorpios, so it's our Imperial Legionaries. So I can swap out these guys here and put them into there, and Crassus is already at the highest level. He cannot get any let me just double check that actually. Let me just double check that. Is it possible? Is there a 5-star Roman general? I'm not sure that there is. Is Julius Caesar? Because he's already legendary status. I don't think that you can actually upgrade. I think Oh no! Look, Julius Caesar. Okay. So So can Crassus upgrade to Julius Caesar? Let's find out. So he's going to use his yellow die. Let's see if he manages to upgrade. He does! Hey! So we're upgrading Crassus to Julius Caesar. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Amazing. Right. So it's not entirely clear to me within the rules, guys, whether or not you can take a 4-star general. Oh, I just knocked all them on the floor. You can take a 4-star general and then actually turn them into a 5-star legendary status. It doesn't make sense that Crassus becomes Julius Caesar. So is it only with a competent general that can turn into Caesar? I don't think there's anything in the rules that says it can't work like that. It talks about how you can upgrade. So I think that this actually does still work. So, but what a battle to have happened where that such an upgrade can take place. So yeah, there you go. That's the end of that battle. A bit of a Pyrrhic victory, but at the same time, a chance for the Romans to earn some victory points, and crucially, deny victory points to the Barbarians. So at this stage, let's go ahead and move over to the main battle map to look at the implications for the campaign.